All right, man. What are we talking about today?
We got the Korean War today. So
Okay.
everybody, welcome to another episode.
Another history lesson.
Another history lesson.
But we don't give a fuck what you got to say. What you got to say, yeah. But no, yeah, we're gonna be talking about the Korean War today.
Seems like it's a forgotten war.
Yeah, it's crazy. Everything you look up on the Korean War, it's always in there. Forgotten War, and it really is, because I mean, you got World War II, huge war right before it, and you got the Vietnam War.
Yeah,
not too long after it. So it's kind of like it gets overshadowed.
Overshadowed, because two different types of war. World War II and Vietnam, and then I think why I grew up. I believe my fifth grade teacher, he was a Korean War vet. So I, as a fifth grader, we covered it. But anytime other than that through school, it was kind of like World War II to Vietnam. It was like we didn't cover Korea. So
yeah, they're like at this point we were in the Korean War. We're right out of it after
right.
But when you really dig into it,
it was really different. Crucial. You talk about opportunity to stop communism.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, the Korean War, the French were fighting in Indochina / Vietnam at this time. So there's some missed opportunities.
Yeah, and what's crazy about the Korean War, and probably why it is forgotten or whatever you want to call it, is because it takes place 5 years after World War II.
Yeah, it's fresh. I mean,
probably the whole country's probably still thinking like, we're not going to war again.
right? How
that was supposed to be the war to end all war, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily what everybody thought, but I'm sure you're in World War II twice.
Yeah, and I pulled this up at the time of World War II ending. We had like 12 million soldiers.
Yeah.
In our military.
I was literally go ahead. Yeah,
go ahead. The one yet? And I think at this time we downgraded to like 7 million. It was. I think it's less than that.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers, but I was gonna hit on that. Like, this is the time where you see the military start to draw down. Like,
as it's funny, and we do after every war we draw down. Why? I don't know.
Probably because we got a Democratic president.
Yeah. We go down. That takes us off the topic of Korean War.
And then people will be like,
I thought I said no politics. Well, fuck you. They mix, all right? But how we do downgrade. But, like, to me, I always believe, and I don't know if everybody else feels this way, I think it's always a big mistake because we do it now. To me, when you draw down, to me, it's dropping your hands in a fight.
Yeah.
And we did that, and then we took this task on.
Yeah.
With a good general, General MacArthur, and
you do. So that's the thing about the Korean War, is it being so short afterwards. You do have a significant amount of guys that have fought in World War II,
a dual war veterans,
are still in. They're about to experience another version of combat.
Right.
I mean, unless you were probably island hopping and stuff, like fighting the Japanese and stuff.
Right. But
this is going to be different.
Right. And now it's the I guess the overall mindset, like, all right, now communism. We're going to fight communism.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know, in this episode we're going to get into some of the equipment and stuff. That's what's crazy, is when we do start getting into that, like, how fast in 5 years. Like, we do fight a war with World War II equipment, don't get me wrong. Like I said, we'll break it down, but the implementation of the helicopter, new tanks, new bazookas, like, there are different things going on in the sense of we're implementing different tactics, we're implementing, new equipment.
Yeah.
Like, think about the helicopter being in World War I or World War II, like, how much different that would have made it,
Right, and then how it progressed into what we got with Huey. Like, anybody watched the beginning of MASH?
Yeah.
You got this little helicopter coming in with two bodies. Yeah, a little bubble with two bodies on the side. You know what I mean?
And then,
that was the evac.
67, 68, you got the Huey.
The Huey.
And we covered that last episode, but just thinking about in 5 years, the helicopter's on scene now. You've got a different battle tank. Like we said, there's multiple, but you've got a different one out. I mean, just there's different things. The grease guns being used a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, we still got the BARs being used, the carbine.
there's just a mixture of things going on, and
Yeah.
that's what sort of blows my mind. But what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and like, since it is the Forgotten War, and you know, I'm sure some people haven't like been on it, studied on it, or whatever. We can. Flow, yeah. All right, so you know, like I was saying, for people that aren't really familiar, well, what we're going to do is we are going to get into the equipment and stuff, but we're just going to probably just break it down. Like, it's going to be quick, you know, and it's hard to say it's going to be quick because there's just so much going on.
Yeah, in any war, you know, there is a lot going on, but
we'll talk about some of these things too later, like when we're talking about the equipment and everything. But we'll just give like kind of like an overview of like what was actually going on in Korea at the time this all sparked off, like what was actually happening. So everything starts about June 25th, 1950. That's where that map all the way on your far left starts. Now, depending where you're at, which side of the parallel you're on, and everything, but backing it up just a little bit before that, real quick. What I was getting to depends on how the war started.
Right.
Yeah, North Korea is a different perspective, but how that 38th parallel came about. I don't know if you saw this when you were studying it, but I found out that right after World War II, you know how like Japan had Korea in World War II.
Right.
You know, we had dropped the atomic bomb. We're racing. It's almost like a race with the Soviet Union to see who can claim the most land at the time.
It's all like a game of Risk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're not fighting each other, but you're also like, if you get there first and you plant your flag, it's yours.
Right.
Because we're dividing all the Axis powers.
And at this time too, the rebellion in China, because China was a republic.
Yeah.
And the communism is now in China now.
Yeah.
So now you got Russia and China.
So we're trying to like, I mean, in Europe, you're fighting. That's where you get the divide with Germany.
Germany, right.
So pretty much what happens in Germany happens in Korea, right?
Yeah.
So Russia's rushing to grab as much of North Korea. We're rushing to grab as much of South Korea. And we kind of get into this weird predicament, and they're like, hey, we need somebody to draw a line.
Yeah.
So they pick these two army officers, right? Rust and I think it's like Bonestead or Bonesteed. I think maybe I'm a little wrong. I think that's their name. But they had 30 minutes to decide. They had 30 minutes to decide where that line was going to be divided. So they start looking at the Korean Peninsula, and they're looking at this, and they're looking at that, and they ended up just like, I'm sure they had their reasons, but if you look at that first line, the 38th parallel that's first drawn, there's no strategic, like, it doesn't follow mountain ranges,
a river, nothing.
They literally marked a mark.
Basically snapped it. There it is.
So this leaves Korea in like a crazy place. You know, they were occupied by Japan. Now there's this magical line drawn in their country, which is splitting maybe like a neighborhood. It'd be like me and you being 3 minutes away, but the line being in between us. And now I'm in a different country and you're in a different country. Like, be insane, right?
Well, it's almost like Texas, Mexico, right? This river's now the border, you know? Yeah, so it'd be the same thing, like you said. Just one day, hey, you're part of
you're East Tennessee, now you're West Tennessee.
Yeah.
Or north or south.
Like,
so that's what they did to him, and then, you know, I'm not going to go into like who all was put in power and stuff, but pretty much South Korea gets backed by the Allies, and then Stalin, you know, backs the North. He puts his own leader in power.
Yep.
You know, kind of like, hey, you're going to be the one to do it, and then we put our own little dude in power.
Right.
And, you know, until 1950, that works.
Yeah. And then they decided to make a move.
So for a lot of people that don't know, like, so, you know, Kim Jong something,
the little fat gargoyle,
the great grandfather of the dickhead that's in charge now. He actually has to go to, like, he decides he wants to take South Korea and unite the Korean Peninsula.
He wanted, yes.
So he's got to go ask, like, Stalin for permission. Stalin doesn't want to invoke World War III. But then like 6 months later, comes back and he's like, you can do it, but if you fail, I ain't gonna be there to help you. You're gonna have to go ask China.
Which, right.
So he goes to China, he gets China to back him, and then that's when, right there in that picture in 1950, June 25th, at 4 a.m., North Korea bombards the border, and they push tanks across the border.
Yeah, and they pushed well, you know what I mean? They came across, again, if you're going to take ground pretty quick, you got to have armor, you know. And they pushed in quick, and really not a lot of resistance.
Really.
I don't think South Korea was really prepared for this.
I think they had their army or whatever, but even for us, I don't think we had. We didn't have many troops.
No.
In the area, it was like an advising
operation
going on.
How to build a military and
it was like a small group of Americans.
Yeah.
Not like
we have our presence now with the Second Infantry there. Yeah.
Oh, that was the one I forgot. What's his name? What really led to that was the Secretary of State at the time. I remember now. So the Secretary of State at the time gave an interview.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about America's, what was it, like how we were protecting all the places that we were at, and he like left off South Korea. You know, in his like speech about protecting, protecting like Tokyo and stuff, and Japan or whatever from communist. They're talking about how they're U.S. is going to protect all these other places, but he accidentally leaves out South Korea.
Yeah.
Or intentionally, I don't know. And then that's when Stalin goes back to Kim and is like, "Oh yeah, you can do it."
Really?
But if you get in trouble,
it's all
you got to go to ask China to help you.
Right.
I can't get involved. I won't get involved.
Right.
But Kim promised him, "I'll take it in days."
Right.
But Stalin at first told him no because he's like, the United States will get involved, and then we'll be at World War III.
Right.
And then when he sees that Korea's left off of like
that speed,
the insurance policy, pretty much.
Right. That opened the door. Like, okay.
He was like, "Oh, so the United States isn't going to get involved."
Right. So you know what? Green light.
Yeah, you're good to go.
But if you fuck it up,
I ain't helping you.
I ain't helping you. That's right.
So it's crazy to think about one speech is probably what changed the mind of Stalin in the sense of like the United States.
And that's, I think, which is very important. How politics, right? Yeah, what they say, how the world sees it.
And we'll get into that a little bit later too about some stuff that Truman said.
Yeah.
But
fuck it.
So North Korea, you can see very quickly from June 25th till September 14th. So this is what's crazy to think about, ladies and gentlemen, really. From the time me and you decided to do a podcast, it's the time that we built a little studio, shot our first episode, to today. That's how long it took for Kim Jong-un, or Kim Jong-un, the Kim at the time, to take all of pretty much South Korea except for that one little
section. Yeah, I can figure he blew through Seoul. I mean, they took Seoul.
I think it was like days, right?
Yeah,
weeks or days or something like that.
They were, I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, and that's all that was left, that little pocket. And you figure their backs against the wall, so.
Yeah, what was it, the Pusan. I can't remember what they called I can't remember what they call it, just like their little defense area.
Yeah.
But I mean, so in the time that it took me and you to decide to do a podcast, start getting all our stuff together, advertise, start shooting.
He took Korea, and that's still a lot of land to take.
That's a lot of land.
Yeah.
I mean, you got.
To put people in line too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're taking cities, farms, hilltops, everything. And it wasn't like you're just marching in there and there's no resistance. I mean, they did still have to fight the South Korean army.
Yeah.
It was just, the South Korean army kind of like, I don't think they were ready. I don't think they were ready to stand up to, like an actual live action fight like that.
Kind of like some guys in Iraq.
Yeah.
They weren't ready for the heat.
It takes a little bit of time, for them to adjust, And so that's what's crazy. And then, I think they were saying that, like, I can't remember what Marine division and stuff, but if, like, the Marine Corps wouldn't have showed up, and a couple other people wouldn't have showed up, like, to Pusan or whatever, that, I mean, he probably would have taken the entire peninsula, and then we would have had to.
I think it was the first Marine Division. I think I'm trying to remember.
I know there was like some army there, I'm sure, and some tanks, but I'm saying, like, they were saying pretty much that area didn't get reinforced when it did.
It would have all been lost. Yeah, we probably would. There'd have been no way to have the Korean War.
Yeah, because then you were looking at, now you've got to invade the entire
country now
without a way in.
Right. It's always nice to have that little secure spot to get in.
Yeah, I mean, look at how long it took for us to hit the beaches of Normandy, and how much planning and execution
and that time we had a buildup of a military. We didn't have that.
Yeah, that's what people don't remember either. Right. It's like we were
downsizing,
half the size, maybe smaller.
Yeah, maybe smaller than
what we were in World War II.
Yeah.
I don't know, that blows my mind. They had shrunk down so small.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that's when, let's see, I think that's when, North Korean Bay, yep, and then MacArthur.
Yeah.
That's when old Douglas MacArthur gets
in. Yeah, I was wrong on the 7 million. Yeah, it was at this time, it was 1.5 million. So we went from 12 million from World War II to 1.5 now. 1.5 at this time now.
Yeah, see, I didn't have the number, but I had like
kind of
saw that it had shrunk so much. It was crazy. But so the whole thing too about getting troops.
Yeah.
To go fight. So Truman never openly went to Congress and declared war on North Korea.
No.
He went to the UN, right?
Right, because this was basically turned into a UN.
It was a UN fight.
Right.
So he went to the UN and got approval for troops to be put in Korea.
Yeah, because MacArthur's title, I guess, he was in charge of UN forces.
Right.
So.
But that's what I was saying, like Truman, the president at the time, never went and asked Congress to go to war.
No. Because I think
he just went straight to the UN and was like, pleaded the case for America to get involved, to stop, because his whole thing was to stop the spread of communism. To contain it.
Right, which I agree.
Yeah.
But
I just think he went about it the wrong way.
Yeah, with like other wars, one hand tied around their balls, quote Tom Berenger.
But I will say, MacArthur said, I can beat North Korea with one hand tied behind my back. So he kind of.
And he,
he was arrogant, saying, like,
but I mean, he
don't ever tell him that,
Yeah,
we need both hands.
We need both hands, yeah.
But so they get the UN's approval, and that's when MacArthur does that daring. You still got Pusan. This doesn't really show it very well because this is skipping forward. But they've got Pusan, and then MacArthur comes around and hits the
Incheon Valley. Yeah, and they said it was really unexpected terrain because they said it was not a slope beach. I mean, they were like. Straight up. It was unexpected.
And they had to come in at high tide.
High tide was was the main thing. You had to come in at high tide, and they said it was just one of those places normally nobody would have picked, but he did, probably knowing they won't expect us to come in.
And that's exactly what happened, right?
Happened, yeah.
North Korea did not expect, they probably expected us to land in
Pusan and then try and fight
our way back up the peninsula.
But you see what he did there. I mean, it was like, all right, we'll hit him here and cut it damn piece in half. And
he pretty much created his own parallel below the 38th parallel in the beginning.
Yeah.
Fought from like one side to the other pretty much, and then they like closed down on the southern peninsula.
Yeah, because you figure you did like what he did there. You figure if you make it across, right, you shut off their supply line.
Yeah, and then their army is spread out.
Yeah, you're spread thin.
So you're not fighting like an invading force from the top anymore like in the beginning.
Yeah.
Now the enemy has someone in Pusan and someone on their backside. So everybody down here is cut off.
Yeah, they're cut off.
As long as you can get a good defensive line up here, which is only going to be probably half the North Korean army that it was.
Right.
You just got to hold them while everybody takes care of business.
Because you figure it's probably just small forces holding up north.
I'm sure it's like an entire brigade moves through, and they leave like a regiment in this town.
Just
or
a
city.
security force. Yeah, and then that's it. Yeah, because
and
everybody else.
That's what Truman called in the beginning was a policing action. And I remember like reading some stuff and seeing some things about some of the Korean War vets being like, "We're over here fighting a full-fledged fucking war, and this dude wants to call it a policing action."
Again, how politicians use their words is it can be a bad motivator.
Yeah.
Like in that, and then all go and left with the words of the Secretary of, was it Secretary of State?
Yeah, it was the Secretary of State.
He left Korea out of the picture.
Yeah.
All right, it's open.
It blows your mind how these people so far away, comments they make, the things they do, affect what's going on somewhere else.
Right.
And I mean, me and you know the effects of that. We've
been
not on this
scale
in the sense of what's going on, but we understand like hearing that shit on the news and being there, or even like you were talking about today, hearing that shit on the news and then knowing what you went through, and you're like, fuck you, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Like, I tell you, get the fucking lines, right? You know, my brother's still fighting health issues. That was my whole thing.
I hate that shit.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, MacArthur gets in here, they pretty much dominate and push all the way back up through North Korea, and you can look at what, September 14th, 1950, November 25th, 1950. Look at how much that map changes.
Oh yeah, I mean we had them pushed up against. I mean we were moving. They were beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were pushing. I mean that's quick, you know. And you're probably thinking that at that time, being a soldier there, going from like, oh shit, we were gonna fucking lose, to now we're beating ass. You know, we're kicking ass. We're pushing.
But just gotta take a break. That's annoying me.
Yeah, I was like losing.
Yeah,
losing some concentration on that one.
Call somebody.
You're good. I was like, you've been trying to get back ever since.
And she's mad at America because they didn't vote for her.
You got her bobblehead out there though.
Yeah, I know.
I think we should put her up on the.
Should we? Yeah. Widen up our viewing.
Maybe draw some mustaches on her. Maybe we'll get her like a little mini.
Put that on Hillary there.
Oh man! All right.
All right.
So, I don't even. Where were we? We were at MacArthur hits Incheon, right?
Yeah.
They pushed up through North Korea, and I think I know a lot about this, but you watched you
were there about the Chosin Reservoir. Yeah. They took from Incheon to where it stops 5 months. They did it 5 months. The November 25th. The talk was, boys, you're gonna be probably home by Christmas.
Yeah.
It was going that well. And then I guess, according to that documentary, Mao, it's funny they give the dictator all the credit. I couldn't even find out who it was. He kind of supposedly pulled back to draw him in, which I could see that.
Yeah, but what I think, this is just my opinion on that. I hate when they say that Mao set up the perfect trap.
Yeah, and that's what they said.
But what I think it is I think, you got to think North Korean capital gone.
Right.
North Korean army is pushed all the way back into China.
Right.
The Chosin Reservoir is just kind of like where we decided to stop. But what I think it was is Kim was up there at old Mao's feet. Help me.
Yeah, cause.
And then Mao, I think it's just like when we decided to advance, I think it was like already decided on their side that China was going to get involved.
Right. And
I don't think he sprung a fucking trap. I really don't.
I think it's all bullshit.
I think it just all happened to be when we decided to advance and go into
and I tell you
further.
What Mao didn't like, and you can see it, is he liked, and who wouldn't, the cushion. North Korea is a cushion to his border.
Right, and
Vietnam.
now his
It's why
borders-
Russia, Soviet Union, like the Warsaw Pact, that was a cushion
for Russia.
for Russia. You know, and then
I mean,
it's the
kinda
same
like-
thing.
Going back to World War II, not trying to bring up something old, but going back to World War II, kind of like what Hitler did. And this is like you take France, you take these other places, you
Yeah.
build that. You can push your army out and build that shield, like you said, that cushion,
Yeah.
and you can defend those areas. The only difference is it wasn't Mao's army defending that area. He
Right.
was using like another country's army pretty much
yeah.
to defend his border. Which, I mean, dude, if you think about it, it's smart, right?
It is smart. Why risk?
Why put your own people?
Right.
When
you
you
know, I
can-
mean, you got your equipment, maybe got some advisors and things like
And
that.
probably the reason why Mao backed Kim from the beginning is in the sense of if Kim takes the entire peninsula, look at how much you're buffered.
Oh yeah, you got a secured border,
Yeah.
as in, you know, any type of foreign.
And really, China is not on the fucking map at that point. Like, honestly, in the sense
Not
of
as
like,
a power, they are a new communist.
but if you
country.
think about it, like Japan was whooping their ass in World War II.
Right. Oh yeah.
Like an island, a little island was whooping your big ass
Right.
in World War II. So like, I don't think anybody viewed China as a threat. I do think this is where they start building towards that.
Right.
But like we were saying, he's got Stalin on this side,
Yeah. Stalin's just right there.
Russia with, like you said, the Warsaw Pact.
Yeah.
You know, like that border's pretty much secure. They know nobody's coming from Japan anymore because Japan's putting check
That's
on the
no
United
longer
States.
right. That's no longer a threat.
And now you're friends with North Korea, and if they can get rid of South Korea, then they get rid of American presence on your border,
On your border.
right there.
Everything else got to come from the sea
So it's
to
kind
your land.
of like you can understand though.
What he was.
Like I don't like China in that time. I don't like anything going on with that.
Yeah.
I'm not, but I'm saying like respecting it from like a military like.
Yeah, that was
standpoint.
smart. Like, okay, now if we get involved, now we gotta do. Because basically, it wasn't to me, not so much helping North Korea. Well, in a sense, yes, but really saving his border.
I
you
think
know?
that's really what it turned into. Is Mao saw. I think when the whole thing was brought to him with like Putin or not Putin, Stalin and you know everything that's going on, he sees kind of like this point where he's like, I either gotta put my cards on the table and get in with these guys,
Right.
or I turn my back, and then what's gonna happen? They're gonna turn from invading South Korea, and they're gonna turn from dealing with this, and they're gonna just
Yeah.
they're gonna take me. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he was trying to make some educated decisions, and I'm not saying Mao's a great leader or whatever. I'm just saying that if I was in that position,
He made the right decisions.
I
Right.
think I would have probably
done the same thing.
done the same thing.
Yeah, because you talk about some of the guys when they started attacking them there in the Chosin Reservoir, they said it was just waves of communists. You know, the old communist doctrine.
Yeah.
Just send waves and eventually.
And what's crazy, you know, so MacArthur is talking about let's take it all the way to China's border.
Yeah.
He's asking for that for a minute, and Truman's kind of the one that's like, you know, hey, we've got him in check. Let's kind of like stop. Let's start building like a line.
Yeah, he it's almost like he was scared to provoke China.
But I don't think. So what I think, really, honestly, if MacArthur would have finished out North Korea and pushed them all the way back into China, and that line would have been drawn on the Chinese border in China, Mao might have stopped. Mao might not have got involved in the sense of like, they've already got all of North Korea, as long as they don't cross that line.
Yeah.
Maybe Mao would have just.
Left it alone.
But
Yeah.
MacArthur did want to like advance into China.
Advance into China. And you know, and that little tip at the top, that's Russian border there at the
Yeah.
top there, you know. So having Korea would have been, I'd say, a big asset to fighting the communists, you know what I mean? It'd have been a good victory.
Well, you
for us.
definitely have a good. You have a good base of operation
Right.
to put troops
To put
into, like you said, Russia,
Russia,
China.
you run operations there on the border, you know, but and it just it's crazy at the same time. China is also helping the Viet Minh communists fight the French right now. So it's almost.
But really, the only thing China, I hate to say it, but the only thing that China has to offer is fucking manpower.
Manpower and small arms.
They're not.
Not that, because they figure the Air Force, from what I believe, will come from Russia. They're fighter planes. Russia was helping at that.
Yeah, they
point.
were. What were they doing? Man, I watched this thing on it, but I can't remember now. But they were like disguising Russian planes and pilots as like
Koreans.
Yeah. Like had them like learn the basic lingo and stuff like that. So that way, if they were intercepted, like it sounded like
it was North
but it
Korea.
really was Russian fighters.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't that
freaking
crazy? Yeah.
crazy.
Because they were disguising it. Talk about covert operations. There you go.
Could you imagine being that guy that they like? The only thing I can think of, and I know it sounds crazy, but it'd be like they going to Tom Cruise and Top Gun and being like, "Listen, you're gonna go disguise yourself as a Russian fighter, and you're gonna bomb China or something. I don't know. You know, like that's, you know, you're already a badass in the sense that you're flying a fighter jet,
Right.
and then for one, a fighter jet is new. A jet.
Yeah, these
Is
jets are new. Yeah. I mean, and here's another war where you jet fighters.
Yeah, like I'm sure they probably have P-51 Mustangs and stuff still like in service, but I'm saying like in the sense of now there is
because I think you got
jet.
the Air Force had the Sabre and I mean these new planes that came out and stuff. Yeah.
I'm sure there's dudes still flying P-51s.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure there's probably a movie on it, but I'm saying like now you have the implementation of like there are jets.
Yeah.
On the battle, there's helicopters, there's jets. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's
just a weird transition.
A warfare.
Yeah.
And it's still conventional.
Yeah.
There's that line.
And they're still taking.
Right.
It's still being measured in
land,
terrain, locations.
Right.
Is this hill worth it? Is that hill not
right?
worth it?
And it almost, it's kind of like, is that the best way to fight war? Well, kind of yes, because
I think for the United States to win, honestly, and I'm not saying that we've lost anything, and I don't want anybody to take that as that.
Yeah, Rob, don't take it wrong.
But I'm saying I think the best way for the American soldier to determine like accomplishment and goals and victory
right
is that
real estate
that real estate.
Yeah.
I think when you see the war on terror, you see Vietnam, even if you look at the war on terror, right? Bringing that into this, I know I'm getting a little sidetracked, but bringing that in, right?
Right.
Fallujah.
Yeah.
Key terrain. City. The Taliban owns
the
it.
roads came in there.
Like the enemy owns it.
Yeah.
The Marine Corps is going to take it, right?
Right.
And I hate to bring the Marine Corps into this game now.
But you got to give it to them.
A bunch of crown-eating bastards, but
they did it.
But yeah, like looking at Fallujah, that becomes key terrain. That becomes a key thing.
Yeah.
And then the Marines take it. Finally, they get it. A lot of bloodshed, a lot of shit.
Yeah,
we can do a whole different segment on
they
Fallujah.
fought their asses off, and they did an
This is
honorable
about
and
Korea,
fine.
but yeah, we can do a whole segment on Fallujah. But key terrain, they take it. That's what is talked about still to this fucking day.
Fallujah. You even hear, I was watching a comedy the other day. I forgot he has Ice Cube, and he was a cop with his brother-in-law to be.
Kevin Hart and Ride Along,
He had that shotgun. He goes, just like Fallujah, So,
but still
to this day.
And why? Key
Was
terrain, and it is a decisive victory in the sense of the United States Marine Corps fought the enemy and took a key piece of terrain, Fallujah.
You talk about an inch by inch block.
But that's what I'm saying. For us, for Americans, I think that's.
I was like, when they said they took Fallujah, I was like, oh, thank a great victory for us.
No, but imagine this. I know it sounds shitty, but imagine this. You take Fallujah, 5 hours later, Black Hawk, Chinooks, everything coming in, pick all the Marines up, fly them to Mosul, Iraq, and just abandon Fallujah right afterwards.
Yeah, guess what's gonna happen? Yeah,
And we see that in Vietnam,
and all the time.
just like we talked about.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, the body count. Let's say the body count, that Marine Corps deaths are lower than the enemy, right? Okay,
But at the end of the day, what have you taken?
and when you leave, what does that do to the morale? What does that do to the heart of the American soldier, the Marine, whatever?
Right.
It breaks them a little bit because it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
why did I fight so hard to take that?
Yeah, why did my buddies even sacrifice ultimately, and we're gonna give it up? And again, kind of like,
And
you
you
know,
do the same shit again
come back again, probably the next month, or
somewhere else.
you know,
It's
it's
a
not,
different town, different hill,
yeah.
whatever.
And,
But that's what I was saying like about this is that I think that's why you see that rapid victory in the sense it was like we take Seoul, then we get the 38th parallel.
Well,
then
we
get
talked about
this, and we get
this.
that.
This is where we're going. Yeah, we're gonna go up there and wash my fucking clothes in the Yalu River. You
And
know what I
think
mean?
the reason why things got fucked up. I think this momentum. I think you could see this blue stretch all the way up into that corner.
Yeah,
If they wouldn't have been stopped.
yeah.
Because when you stop
and then yeah,
and you have time.
they had time, gave them time, and again, like a lot of times I read, at certain points, they see a commander fly in. We ain't getting your help. What ammo you got? That's all you got. When you're taking ammo off, you're dead, and
Yeah.
you're hurting. It's almost. Not even almost. I don't think we were prepared. Our supply of ammo.
And yeah, there is a lot of instances of like
Of that, yeah.
I know. We
and
really get on
personnel.
that,
They
Yeah.
the one incident I forgot up there in the Chosen, they thought, all right, commander's here, reinforcements. They go, nothing's coming, guys.
Hey, what you got?
You're
You're
in.
good.
I'm back on the chopper. I'm back out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would tempt to start fucking throwing rocks at that blade flying off.
And then you gotta think about for people that don't know, even though this is an island, this is in like the Pacific Theater or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
November 25th, that far in North Korea, gets pretty fucking cold.
It gets cold.
So I think that winter kind of, you see that even in Germany, in like Bastogne and stuff like that. Like, I will say, the cold will strip morale. It'll strip the human being, like down to. We talk about heat all the time. Yes, heat is a very miserable thing to fight in. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
But cold, for some reason, it makes everybody just sit and think and be miserable.
Well, yeah, because I just take what I do for a living with my bulls. In the summertime, it's fucking hot shit. Yeah, but I get through it. When it's cold, man, I need an extra 2 more cups of coffee.
You kind of like delay.
Yeah, like trying to delay. I gotta break up the ice, and yeah.
Yeah.
But it is gonna be like, you were stationed in Colorado at one point. In your career. I mean, the way that my brother-in-law, who was with the 10th Mountain, yeah, he has some cool ass stories being up there when he was with the 10th Mountain at Drum.
Don't get me wrong. So, I'm not trying to compare Colorado and my time and training to what Korea was like, but yeah, like comparing the cold, comparing the weather. When that cold set in, so not even when the cold set in. Let's just say this: there was a training event that we went to that was a month long.
Yeah.
That I remember specifically being parked for like 2 weeks in the same spot.
See.
And it's because of like the snow, like the conditions just change. You can't see 5 feet in front of you. The snow builds up. The tank doesn't want to move. It's not the tank. The Bradley doesn't want to move. And the reason why I'm thinking tank is because when I was watching that documentary about when they did hit this point in there, and the reading that I was doing, it's 50 below zero.
Yeah, that's
in some places, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and it's all just like this road along. The guy said sloped up that way and drop off. There's just a little.
And they're saying like you go to fire the machine gun and it doesn't work because it's frozen.
Yeah, I mean the one guy said the carbine was great if you can get it to work. I was like, that's cold.
If you take that in a 50 caliber rifle, you being a tanker, I don't really know much about the tank, but you being a tanker, how does that affect the tank? You got to think this isn't jet turbine. This isn't.
Yeah, no, you're talking about diesel engines. So you got coagulation.
Yeah.
in your fuel, you know, as in a froze up 50 cal. Now, how do I basically do a troop engagement?
Yeah. So now your 50 cals down, your tank doesn't want to start. You're a fucking ice cube, pretty
Right.
much.
And better I talk about when you got to pull your pistol out as a tanker, all his fucking everything is
Yeah.
fucked up
So now
and low on ammo. You know, big gun rounds. You know, so
And I'm not saying that there's like a huge engagement going on at this time. I'm
Just
just saying,
still.
but it's in your mind.
in your mind,
One of the guys that I saw in the thing that I was reading about read about, he said the anxiety, hour by hour,
yeah.
it was just through the roof.
Oh yeah.
So it's like me and you are talking about right now. Like it's getting me a little worked up in the fact of
Yeah,
like,
my heart's not going to.
yeah, my equipment doesn't work. My tank doesn't, like, the tanks can't back me up. Like, you're really relying. This isn't like the war on terror, like, that I fought in the sense of, like, there's a, I would say, like, better communication, better resources, things like that. This is when you're really relying on, like, that rifle, that tank, that mortar man.
Right, and you figure you're another standard army who had armor also, who had
Just
some of
to
the
bring
best
up
weapons.
the T-34 that North Korea had,
Yeah,
Russia made, right? I'm pretty sure.
Russia made.
But they
proven.
said the bazooka, the American bazooka, couldn't penetrate the
Yeah.
T-34.
T-34.
So now you're looking at this in the sense of, I don't know, say the enemy gets their fucking tanks. I don't know, where they got warming blankets or they're pissing on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And they get their tanks warmed up and over the hill.
Yeah.
And now my tank's frozen, my 50 cal's frozen, my bazooka can't do it, my boots are frozen.
Yeah.
The anxiety does have to be.
Yeah,
through.
and then yeah, especially the conditions. Oh, your anxiety's going through. That one guy get off track real quick was, frostbite got a lot of our Korean vets.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
big
You were
one.
telling me about
And the
that.
guy was telling me when he took off his boot, and I about broke down in tears when I was watching. He goes, I took off my boot, and I think he goes, two of my toes are still in there.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine that.
I was going to tell you.
You have to fight for your life too.
So I know a lot about the Korean War, but what really got me, because we had talked about the frostbite thing. You
Yeah.
had mentioned that to me multiple times about the VA and like
Mm-hmm.
and that significant event. And for people that don't know, like the Korean War, for one, even though it's a forgotten war, it's just fucking deadly what was going on.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But this moment that we're talking about, what just tore me apart, what literally, I'm telling you, like, probably, I was literally crying.
Yeah, I mean, it
Was
had me
the
choking.
guy on the TV was saying that, he said, you had to be careful how you picked up the dead, because you go to grab them by the legs and their arms, and they'd snap off.
Yeah. That,
And I'm like, dude, that just like,
and that's your buddy. You know what I mean? One, you're picking up your buddy. Or
so
you-
what
you know.
tears me up more than anything is like, when dudes die in combat, they get shot or whatever, and they're able to be put in a body bag and sent back home.
Right.
The only thing I can think about is at least their family will get to see them.
See them.
So what kills me is when guys are like, we're just picking up pieces and putting it in a body bag, right?
Yeah.
That's how I kind of, maybe it isn't 1,000 pieces and you can't tell what's there.
But
But
still.
what's worse, like putting your buddy in a bag and then stacking his arms and legs on top?
I mean,
Dude,
that
has to fuck with you so
for the rest of your
bad.
life. Like I said, the documentary I was watching, and I'd say at the time these men were probably in their 70s, probably in the 80s, and they were crying like it was yesterday, and
I've never
you
seen
know,
that, done that.
yeah. I mean, it was just. I mean, I felt bad because what I went through, yeah, but what they had to endure as in putting your
Yeah.
body not because
Say you never killed him by the entire war.
yeah,
It's your buddy, you got shot and froze to death beside you.
and you're putting him
and you broke his fucking arms off.
yeah,
putting him in
trying
the
to bag him, send him to his family where they can bury him properly. That's gotta
dude,
live with you. I mean, these guys in
I
this
can't even
documentary.
imagine like I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut, but
No.
I can't even imagine like, you grab your arm, your body tissue. It's
being
one thing
so
is to be
good.
cut off like in the sense of like a saw, and I'm not trying to get like morbid, but I'm just saying like, you just can't imagine it just like,
Snap.
like a
That,
twig.
I mean, that's
like,
cool.
literally.
Yeah, like that's what it sounds like. Like if you broke a branch off a tree,
That's just
and that's your buddy. You
your
know
friend.
what I mean?
Yeah, like
They're
you
your
said,
friend.
Probably the guy you've been here with since June
Since
of
when you hit the
25.
beach in 1950.
Or you're in Incheon with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to tear you up, and like, you know.
What's worse is they have Thanksgiving dinner.
Yes.
MacArthur tells them, like you were saying before,
Yeah.
Christmas is coming, the war will be over.
You guys are gonna probably be home by Christmas.
And then what? Look at the dates, right?
Yeah.
This is the date after they push all that, but right after Christmas, that's when the Chinese get involved and the hordes start coming over the
Start
fucking
coming to the
mountains.
mountains. And I read one time, at one point, MacArthur wanted to kind of throw a feint, like he was going to throw a amphibious landing in China. He was going to hit
Okay,
China.
like yeah, so a little
Yeah,
bit,
I read, you know, and Truman said no, he really didn't want to provoke China. And MacArthur's like, well, we're already fucking fighting them.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't understand.
Because if his whole was we already throw a fake amphibious landing, they gotta pull their resources. We pull up to the Yalu River, we got Korea. But
Now we just gotta hold the line.
right, but at this point, Truman, again, his pussy grew even bigger, you know, and
So that what a lot of people don't know either is Truman didn't like MacArthur in the sense. I'm not gonna flat out say that he didn't like him. Well, I'm gonna say they had disagreements.
Yes.
But the thing was, MacArthur did have a very big ego, very big head.
He was arrogant.
But you can understand why, because everything MacArthur does, it works.
It works.
Yeah, even up until this point, MacArthur hasn't lost.
No, I
So
mean,
you got to think World War II
yeah.
and what's going on in Korea.
And I know, and here's with MacArthur, I know he had to live with when he had to pull out in World War II, where he had to pull out. I think it was the Philippines, because my great uncle was one of the ones who were left there. He was actually a POW. It was a Bataan, but he was in Corregidor, which was right down from. So I figured that always ate MacArthur up. If he had a chance to redeem himself,
This is it.
this is it.
And even, I mean, we'll get into it in a minute, but even when MacArthur does have to retreat, he won't admit that it was a retreat.
Yeah,
he says that we're
attacking the rear.
The rear, yeah. But what people don't understand is MacArthur was kind of like a fucking Lone Ranger in the sense of like, Truman told him multiple times, like, hey, like, don't do this, don't do that.
Oh yeah, this
have
push
news
north was
presses.
all on him. Yeah,
Like, don't have a news conference, don't do that,
Yeah.
don't do this. And MacArthur was kind of like, MacArthur was honestly acting
as the lone wolf.
not even as the commander in general.
Yeah,
You know how they say,
because
like,
he wasn't supposed to go here. I think Truman wanted to get the 38 parallel
back
back.
in order, and then he saw him like keep pushing. He was kind of like, "Well, I
But
can't."
when you, I mean, how
Everybody
could you?
says they can't tell MacArthur no.
That's like getting off topic. Being a football game, this team scores 70 points. Well, fuck, I can go tell my guys to stop scoring, play ball.
Yeah.
That's fixing shit.
Yeah,
You know, you just got to get better. And that, I mean, how can you tell? And you know, we did
But
it in Desert
MacArthur-
Storm. Stop. That's it. We're done. You're like,
yeah.
and
But
off
MacArthur
track.
was actually acting like the
commander-in-chief.
Like the commander-in-chief. He was the president.
he was like acting president.
He was having like press conferences.
Oh yeah.
So even think about this. Even when Truman showed up to come get MacArthur in line, MacArthur doesn't greet the president of the United, his commander-in-chief, the guy that is his actual boss.
Yeah.
Doesn't greet him with a salute. He gives him a fucking handshake.
Handshake.
Because he's letting Truman know, I don't care if you're the fucking president. I'm the one
Yeah.
that's running this fucking show. And
You know, the only thing that would have helped MacArthur out, Patton was alive.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
I do
And
think
hated
MacArthur could
communists.
have bought himself some time.
Yeah.
Maybe if he would have swallowed the pride.
Right. And
Take the
again, what
bullet
happened
every
here
once in a while
was
with
the
Truman.
supplies. We weren't really built up, I think, to handle this.
But I think with Truman, I think MacArthur's problem is he wasn't playing politics with Truman.
Right, he was being an American soldier.
And I will say, being an American soldier, like if I had a commander, you know, I think that's why people love Mattis so much and things like that.
Yeah.
If I had a commander that was like that and didn't give a fuck and was like, I'm here for the soldiers and I'm here for them to win,
Yeah.
and we're gonna keep pushing until we win, I can respect it a lot more than getting involved in the politics.
Oh yeah.
So I think if MacArthur probably would have played the politician game with Truman a little bit, like Truman comes off the plane, give him a salute.
Yeah, there was that was a lot of disrespect. You know,
it's pretty much like call him dad when you need to.
Yeah.
Go back to what you're doing. But because he refused to call him dad at any point in time,
right?
I think that's what kind of.
Yeah, MacArthur almost got too big ego. But yeah, no matter what, and you know, being the mayor, that you still got to respect your superiors, as in their position and rank.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what. As much as
I
thought Truman was a pussy and everything else, but if he was my commander in chief, I would still have to grit it and salute him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can at least give him. I think behind closed doors, you can at least give him the 1-2, like and like go fuck yourself.
Yeah, you're fighting.
You know when this door opens and cameras in my face?
Yeah.
You'll get your fucking salute, yes sir.
But behind those doors, hey, you're being a pussy about this.
Yeah.
We got him on the run. You know, you let him have it. But
and what happens? I mean, what does happen up here? I know we spent a lot of time like discussing this, but what happens here when China does get involved?
well, you see an overwhelming number on the swarms of soldiers coming.
I think that's where we get the term like. I know it's from the Mongolian, but you know, like we still use it as kind of like the Mongolian horde, like because like people were just like, it was wave after wave after wave.
Exactly.
Like,
and that's what it was. And you know, I always thought it would be what I understood should be the communist doctrine, because that's how Russia would fight.
Oh yeah.
Germany. You know, it's just waves, because eventually their hope is to break through.
Yeah.
But Americans being Americans, holding on strong. But again, the lack of reinforcements,
ammo,
and the personnel, they were getting the reinforcements. Again, we were hurting as a military. I think it was almost maybe it's hard to say. I think the American spirit, the American fight in us got us to that point, but when we needed a military buildup, it wasn't there for us. And guess who suffers? The man on the battlefield, the soldier on the battlefield.
And that's what sucks is that even Americans at home didn't really. That's what people don't. I think that's another thing that people don't get is that the Korean War wasn't an American war in the sense of it is now the Korean War, just like it is now the Vietnam War, right? But you got to remember, Truman never went to Congress. No. Congress never declared war. Mm-mm. So really, the entire country is not backing this like they were World War II, in the sense of like the entire country is shifted into wartime America back in the Korean War.
And this may be one of those things where the public is like, why are we over there?
Well, they were saying like most of the Americans didn't even know where Korea was or what the Korean War was.
Right.
So like the soldiers know. Even I know this is skipping ahead. We're not even got there yet. But when the Korean War vets came home, they said that there was multiple accounts of people being like, "Where have you been?" And the guy would be like, "Well, I was over there fighting in the Korean War." And they're like, "Where's Korea?" Yeah. So like that public. Because it wasn't like, that's what people don't get, is like, yes, in the history books and to the veteran and to me, it is the Korean War. But to the American people at the time, it wasn't like, you gotta think 5 years before that was World War II. A war. Like a fucking, the country is involved, women are in the factories, guys are overseas.
It was a full blown,
So to them, you know, like, it probably didn't feel like a war.
Right.
And the government was probably trying to fucking hide it a little bit.
Again, and that mentality says, all right, we fought fascism, now we're fighting communism.
Yeah, and then even Truman calls it a policing action in Korea.
And that's
he's not calling it a conflict. He's not calling it a war.
Yeah.
He's saying And I don't. At this point, MacArthur's involved. There's people are starting to learn a
See-
little bit more. But I'm saying in this whole thing before, this is all happening in a year.
Yeah.
Truman's calling this a policing action. Now MacArthur is involved and talking about dropping fucking tactical nukes on China.
On China.
Like, this
Yeah.
escalates so quick.
Yeah, that was the tactical, and it's funny because later on, when the French in '54 they got themselves in Dien Bien Phu
Yeah.
and surrounded, they came to the Americans and said, "Hey," and they came up with a plan. Our military called Operation Vulture. One of them was dropping 3 tactical nukes to wipe out the communists, and of course we let the French fall. And there's different reasons. One of the reasons they said America didn't get involved in that because the Viet Minh, they said they were fighting colonialization. Well, that's what we did as a country.
Oh yeah.
It was like a kind of a.
I can't slap you on the wrist.
Right. Yeah. So.
But we'll set this up and we'll take
Yeah.
a break real quick. But so China invades or China gets involved. They're wave after wave. MacArthur's being beat back. And the decision that MacArthur makes that he wants to implement, and I know this is going to sound fucking wild, 10, not 3, not 2, 10 tactical nukes dropped. And his whole idea, and we'll talk about it when we come back, but his whole idea is that pretty much that red line in there, maybe a little bit further into China, whatever, is to create like a radioactive border.
Yeah, shield basically.
And now you own Korea. But like I said, we'll get into it when I get back, when we get back. But I think that's crazy. Like
That is
10 tactical nukes.
Yeah, and just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And we got it. We got it
Well,
won.
Let's take a break and we'll talk.